Volkswagen Polo is the little brother of the bestseller Golf. It shares many components with other cars from the Volkswagen group, such as the Audi A1, Skoda Fabia and Seat Ibiza. Next to competing with its cousins from the Volkswagen group, it also competes with cars such as the Mini Cooper and the Ford Fiesta. We are currently driving the 5th generation of the Polo, which was first introduced back in 2009. It went through a facelift in 2014, and this particular car is a 2015 model with the code name 6C, and it isn't your regular Polo, it's the Polo GTI. The standard Polo GTI has 192 horsepower, and with the DSG it has 250 Nm of torque. But this GTI has 280 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. The modifications to get to 280 horsepower and 400 Nm were a stage 2 tune for the engine and also for the gearbox. Next to that, it has a different air intake. Also, the mid silencer is deleted on this car for a much louder and sportier sounding exhaust. And also the suspension is modified with a Cobra suspension setup. The GTI has sporty trim pieces to make it stand out compared to a regular Polo. The exterior looks sporty as well as compact. In this beautiful blue color, it really is eye-catching. The interior is trusted Volkswagen, no daring design elements. The material used in the Polo could be better. Competitors or in the new Polo you find more soft touch materials. The seats have a traditional GTI pattern and they offer great support when driving. Also in the interior you find subtle details that remind you that you're in a GTI. Now let's talk about how the Polo drives. Let's start with the steering. Steering weight is actually pretty nice. It's not too light, also not too heavy. Steering response is also pretty good, pretty direct, but this is also thanks to its sportier suspension. But steering feel could be better. Steering feel, yeah, it doesn't give you a sense of disconnection, but the connection between the front tires and the steering could be better. But I mean, it works pretty good. You can place it pretty well. Now let's talk about the suspension setup in this car. As I mentioned before, this car has the Cobra suspension upgrade. In general it's pretty firm, but it's oriented to be sporty, so that's understandable. But on flat surfaces it's okay, it's doable. Only on bad surfaces you start feeling the vibrations. The upside of this suspension is that it handles very well in corners. The car stays very flat and feels very agile. With this suspension, if you took this car on a track, it would perform very well. And as a daily driver, well, it's not the most floaty and comfortable Polo, but I mean, it's doable as a daily driver. So in my opinion, it's a pretty good suspension upgrade, especially when you want to drive it sporty and flat around corners. Now let's talk about the transmission of this car. This is the well-known 7-speed DSG double clutch transmission. With the modifications, the transmission keeps the revs at a certain RPM where you have enough power all the time. Standard DSG transmission setup. The car shifts way too quick to higher gears, where you get a lack of power most of the time, and this fast and quick shifting is due to make it more fuel efficient. Now let's put the transmission into the sport mode. Half throttle. It shifts at 4000 and you get a nice pop from the exhaust. Now the car keeps the revs much higher. The throttle response also becomes much sharper. Now let's try to shift the car manually with the pedals behind the steering wheel. We're now in third gear. Fourth, fifth, sixth. On upshifts it's pretty responsive. If you're not happy with your regular DSG transmission, you should definitely consider this software tune, because it makes the transmission so much better. We're now in fifth gear. Let's go back to third, fourth, third. Fully accelerate. I definitely recommend this tune for your DSG transmission, because the standard DSG transmission shifts way too quick to higher RPMs, to lower RPMs to higher gears, and then it's when the revs are too low, the power is also not available. Yeah, it's maybe more fuel efficient in that way, but you really lack the power with the standard DSG. We've put the transmission into the sport mode. Now let's attack some corners. You really feel the 280 horsepower when you're higher in the revs. Fully accelerate. Wheel spin. This little pole is like a cannon. Let's manually shift to the second. Third, second. It lies very flat in the corners. So what's my verdict on this Polo GTI? Well, compared to the regular GTI, it's much more sporty. The transmission is much more responsive. And this increase in power makes the car much more alive and much more exciting. Okay, the regular Polo GTI can also be comfortable at many times. And with this suspension, it isn't uncomfortable, but you really feel vibrations on bad surfaces. If you're regularly driving on twisty roads or driving sporty in general, then you should definitely consider this upgrade for your Polo GTI.